subscribe to my sister's channel. She will also voice her favorite plots. Let's give her a big asset. October 10th. Night. Today, the village of the Hidden Leaf has lost many, including its hero, Yondaime Hokage Namikaze Minato. Every resident remembered this cursed night, if not forever, then for a very long time. The whole point was that the village was attacked by a nine-tailed demon fox and killed many people. Many shinobi died doing their duty to the motherland, many children were orphaned. But now a little bit not about that. At the moment, a loud baby crying could be heard above the forest where the battle had just taken place. A newborn girl was lying on the ground surrounded by already extinguished candles, but she was very unusual. She was such, if only because the baby had golden fox ears and the same tail, and this in combination with her yellow fluff of hair. The child, closing his eyes, cried a lot. Next to the girl lay two corpses, a blonde man and a scarlet-haired woman. Both had large through wounds, but their hands were tightly intertwined. It was the fourth and his wife. And the little girl continued to sob, trying in this way to attract the already dead mom and dad, who, even being already cooling bodies, managed to hug their child. About 10 minutes after the disappearance of the nine-tailed, a third arrived at the scene of the battle and saw what he was so afraid of. The baby has already managed to fall asleep, and her extraordinary body parts have disappeared. Owl, cat, examine the fourth and his wife, maybe Kushina can be helped somehow. Sarutobi gave the order, Hokage-sama, there's a child here, a girl. Shouted one of the ANBU that arrived with the third. What? The old man exclaimed. What child? He continued, while rapidly approaching the bodies. As soon as he approached Minato and Kushina, he saw how they covered the baby with their bodies and gently hugged him. And when the Hokage took the girl in his arms, the sleeping baby, torn from the already almost cooled bodies of her parents, burst into tears again. Suddenly Kushina's quiet voice rang out. Please, old man, please take care of Minato and my baby. Uzumaki's voice was filled with pleading and tears of intense mental pain. She's the new Jinchuriki fox. We've sealed the nine tails completely, her name is Namikaze Uzumaki Naruto. The woman coughed up blood. Kushina, don't say anything, don't waste your strength, you have to survive for the sake of your daughter. The old man literally begged the scarlet-haired woman. Sarutobi-san, I beg you, let me hug my daughter one last time. The third gave her a crying girl, and as soon as he did, she stopped crying and looked at her mother with her blue eyes and smiled with her toothless mouth, causing the woman to sob in a voice. Forgive us, baby, me and dad, we are the worst parents in the world, but know that mom and dad, we love you very, very much, my. No, our little star. Be strong. With the last of her strength, the woman hugged her daughter and kissed her on the forehead. After the forces left Uzumaki Kushina, and she fell asleep forever, going after her beloved husband, and Naruto, as if feeling that she was an orphan, stopped smiling and grabbed her mother as tightly as possible for newborns and began to cry again, touching Kushina's face and pulling her hair slightly. The next day there was a funeral. No one really knew where the demon had gone, and anyway, somehow, every resident was drowned by his grief. 4.5 years have passed since that terrible day. Konoha has already been rebuilt after the attack of the fox demon. Now a small shadow was gliding through the dark streets. She tried to walk as quietly as possible so as not to attract anyone's attention. But alas, not fate, because to get home this very shadow had to cross a crowded and well-lit street. Cursing a couple of times, the unknown slipped into the street. In fact, it turned out to be a little girl of 4.5 years old. She had a slightly rounded face, plump lips, a slightly upturned nose and big blue eyes, and there were 3 stripes on the children's rosy cheeks. The baby's hair color was very interesting. From the roots to the middle they were scarlet, and from her to the tips they resembled the rays of the spring sun. The baby was dressed in a green sundress, P.A., almost like Kushina's, and ordinary white ballet flats. She had a Panama hat on her head. This girl's name is Uzumaki Naruto, and now she was trying to get home as quickly as possible, because if she gets caught by someone, then she will not be spiced. Usually she is lucky, but it seems that today fortune decided to turn away from the little Uzumaki, and that's why 3 drunken shinobi accidentally ran into her. Oh, so it's okay, I see. Our demon. One of them exclaimed, yes, my wife died because of this creature. Ik, supported the second, we are long. Ugh. We have to take revenge on him. I see, a third exclaimed, yes. The others supported him, but as soon as these daredevils raised their hand to strike, the demon ran with a speed unusual for children of her age. But here's the misfortune, someone tripped her, and the girl fell. While the shinobi were figuring out what had happened, Naruto got up again and rushed towards the forest at full speed, and the men shouted, well, stop, brat, they rushed after her. And now the girl almost reached the forest, as they caught up with her and began to beat her. After the punishment of the demon, the drunkards went home, leaving the girl to bleed. But the Uzumaki are famous for their tenacity, and that's why the girl crawled into the forest. When she crawled up to a huge tree, Blue-Eyed pulled off her Panama hat, and golden fox ears immediately stuck up on her head, and a fluffy tail lay on her knees. Yes, the girl has been a Kitsune for as long as she can remember. Transparent, bitter salty tears were streaming from Naruto's eyes, and in his confused thoughts the only question was clear, for what? After crying half the night, the young Uzumaki fell into a restless sleep. But according to the girl, the dream was strange. She dreamed of some catacombs. Suddenly the baby felt a large amount of chakra. It was as if she was a little native. Not fully understanding what she was doing, Blue-Eyed went to the source of this strange energy. Going out into the great hall, Naruto was able to contemplate a huge golden cage from floor to ceiling, which, by the way, was not even visible. She came close to the bars. Suddenly, 2 blood-red eyes opened in the cage, blazing with hatred and contempt. Uzumaki shuddered. No, not from fear, but from the fact that in addition to these feelings, she saw a lot of sadness, pain and loneliness in those eyes. Her thoughts were interrupted by a deep voice, in which there were notes of superiority. What a moth! Oh, so you're my personal jailer. The voice exclaimed, and the huge head of the fox appeared in the light. The outlines of 9 tails were visible from the darkness. Are you a Kyuubi? The girl whispered softly. Naruto was very smart compared to her peers. Even at the age of 3.5, little Jinchuriki, having come to the Hokage, expressed a desire to learn to read and write, which Hiruzen was very surprised at, but still allocated her a teacher. Little Uzumaki was just over the moon when she learned everything she wanted to learn for a long time. She had read a lot of books, well, maybe not so much, but in her 4.5 years it was enough to create a replacement technique and throw a couple dozen kunai and shuriken properly, knew the basics of taijutsu, the history of Konoha, the history of the shinobi world, what is the chakra, and accordingly knew about biju and their so-called living cells. Oh, so the little insect knows who I am. Well, why don't you tremble in fear and hate me, don't you shout curses? I've seen your life, and, as I see, you're not so stupid and have already figured out what's what. The fox jumped up. He was already ready to hear a lot of flattering and pleasant things about himself, but what he said shocked the demon. And why should I hate you, tremble in fear and insult you? The girl asked in surprise. What? Why are you crazy? From this turn of events, the fox fell out. Fool. After all, it's because of me that they hate you and beat you almost every day, and you still ask, for what? The fox roared, I think this is not such a weighty reason. On the contrary, I should be grateful to you Kubi-sama, because if it wasn't for you, I would already be dead. I am very grateful to you. Having said these words, the girl bowed low. The nine-tailed himself went into a distant prostration, and it would have dragged on for a long time, if suddenly he did not feel something, or rather someone hugged him by the paw. Looking down, he saw his cage and, yielding to an unknown impulse, covered the girl with his other paw, as if hugging her. After a minute of such hugs, the baby sat on his paw and asked a question that the shocked fox did not expect. Kyubi-san, what's your name, what? The demon asked. What makes you think I have a name? The tailed one didn't understand much at all what was going on here. Well, in my opinion, everyone has a name, and you are no exception, the blue-eyed girl answered with a sweet smile. Well, my name is Kurama. But no one should know about what is happening here right now, Kyubi said slowly. Of course, Kurama-san. Kitsune exclaimed, and releasing her ears and tail, the baby settled comfortably on the back of the fox's neck. After a couple of minutes, a quiet snuffling was heard from there. Before falling asleep, Kurama thought that the girl was very interesting. 2 weeks have passed since Naruto met Kurama. At the moment, the girl was running into the forest, where she often trained with the fox. When she got to the right place, the blue-eyed woman began to meditate first. She liked it here the most because the place was very beautiful. Emerald grass grew on the shore of a dark blue lake, old and large trees, bushes with a variety of berries, rare plants and beautiful flowers of many kinds surrounded it, and butterflies and birds always flutter in the air. There was also a small, but not a small cave, the entrance to which was covered by some strange plant, which, hanging its long branches, looked like a living curtain. An ideal place for meditation, and just for relaxing body and soul. Strangely enough, but it was the most secret part of the forest, which people do not know about at all. But our restless Uzumaki accidentally stumbled upon this wonderful place. During meditation, the baby could feel the whole forest, every animal, and it was very strange. After exhausting classes, young Kitsune hurried home. After running a little more, the girl stumbled over some snag and fell headlong down, landing in a deep ravine with a river flowing there. By the way, the river was quite large and fast. Fortunately, the girl stopped already at the water's edge. Haha, yes, you should be given a medal for dexterity, haha, it's necessary to fly like that. Kyubi laughed in his subconscious. Actually, it hurts, Kurama-san, the blue-eyed woman muttered resentfully. That's it, I didn't mean to offend you. But from now on, be careful, otherwise you won't be injured for long, the demon warned the girl. Well, yes, I really need to be more careful, the different-haired woman was about to get up when she suddenly heard a splash of water. Turning around, Naruto saw a little wolf cub who was trying to somehow swim out of the rapids, which he just couldn't do. Yielding to an unknown impulse, the little fox jumped into the water and swam to the cub. But she couldn't do anything, so the baby gathered her last strength, accumulated chakra and tried to stand on the water. It came out only on the third attempt. Trying to get closer to the stupid animal as soon as possible, the fox almost fell several times. Finally, the baby was able to reach her goal and, picking up the cub, she tried to jump to the shore. But it didn't work out, it just got worse. After all, without jumping to the shore, Uzumaki dived under the water, and she and a small animal were caught by the current. They went to the bottom. Suddenly, after a few seconds, a splash of water was heard and golden chains appeared from under its thickness, which wrapped around the trunk of one of the trees and began to rapidly shorten their length, and a moment later a girl with an animal in her arms was flying towards the tree. The girl could only exhale, lying on her stomach, but at the same second, as if coming to her senses, the baby jumped up and looked at the rescued one. "Are you all right, baby?" As if he understood everything, the cub whined plaintively in response. "I'm glad you're okay." Strange, what kind of chains were they? This is one of the abilities of your clan, but even so, few people had chakra chains, the nine-tailed explained. "And now? Do you want to die?" "At first, I almost broke all my bones, and now I almost drowned," the fox yelled, so much so that the poor Jinchurika's ears were blocked. "I'm sorry, Kurama-san, but I couldn't leave him. If it wasn't for my help, the cub would have drowned long ago," the blue-eyed woman said, a little offended, simultaneously climbing out of the ravine. As soon as Kitsune crawled up, she saw a wolf and 3 more of the same babies. The lump that Naruto held very carefully in her arms stirred and after a few seconds gently rubbed against the wolf, whining something in her ear. The chanterelle herself looked shabby. She lost her Panama hat in the river, her tail was lying on the ground, and her ears were pressed to the red crown. The wolf, as if listening to what her son was saying to her, approached Uzumaki and pulled her towards the dense forest. As strange as it may sound, but the baby went after the wolf family. After a kilometer, the company stopped. Where they ended up was like a small rock. Suddenly an old tiger came out on her ledge. But the most unusual thing was not his age, but what he said. "Greetings, child of the Fox clan. I thought that people like you had disappeared long ago, and therefore it is an honor for me to see you." The old tiger spoke calmly and peacefully, wisdom was visible in his eyes. "Tell me your name." "Naruto Uzumaki." "Kitsune," the girl whispered softly. "And what is your name?" The little girl asked her exciting question. "My name is Satoshi, and I am the keeper of this forest." "Do you know why you're here?" Tiger asked. After receiving a negative answer, he continued. "I know about your brave deed and about your love for nature. That's why you were chosen as the new guardian of the forest. After all, not everyone finds the place you found. And this means that the spirits of the forest have fallen in love with you." "The ex-keeper?" the little girl repeated for Satoshi, a little shocked. "And Kurama was silent all this time?" "Yes. But before you take my place, you will have to undergo special training. But it's time for you to go home now. The training will start tomorrow." "Here," Tiger said softly. Goodbye," the blue-eyed woman muttered and rushed home like a bullet, leading a mental conversation with the fox along the way. Naruto ran home and, after taking a shower, immediately went to bed. Kyubi was thinking about what happened today. Kurama understood that his Jinchuriki was an unusual child and, frankly, he was surprised, but still resigned. But the girl has teachers who will teach her a lot. With such thoughts, the fox fell asleep. Morning. Sunrise. The little fox jumped up and began to get ready in a hurry. When the girl was ready, she rushed to the forest in a small whirlwind. "The main thing is not to be late, the main thing is not to be late," the girl whispered confusedly along the way. Running to the forest, the baby began to look closely until she saw the silhouette of a tiger. "You're early, little fox," Tiger said slowly. "Just, you didn't specify the time, so I see," Satoshi interrupted her. "Well, let's start, since I've come." "Hi." That's how Kitsune's slightly renewed life began. It's been a year and a half since Naruto started training with Satoshi. Her business was going uphill. At the moment she was 6, there were difficulties with training, of course, and it was very difficult for the girl to overcome them, but her very first friend, Kurama, helped her. Now the fox was in a hurry to train. Satoshi-sensei said that this training would be special. "Kurama-san, what do you think Satoshi-sensei is up to?" Naruto mentally asked her Biju as she ran to the designated place. And how should I know? I can't predict the future. I don't know what this bastard is up to. And in general, the great and excellent, I am not talking to you. The fox was in a bad mood, because one particularly brazen person, who had fully learned to control her subconscious in order to wake up the nine-tailed, created a tsunami in her subconscious in the literal sense of the word. Oh, Kurama-san, are you really offended by my harmless joke? It's like that for you, a light shower. The girl said cheerfully, barely holding back her laughter, yes, of course, it's so safe that I just don't know. The fox couldn't stand it anymore. MHM, he, mmh, hhha. Oh, hhhe. The girl couldn't stand it anymore. The demon only grunted at this and fell asleep. The further path of the tale passed in silence and stretched for another 20 minutes. Along the way, the baby looked around the neighborhood, although she is not yet a guardian, but she has already saved the inhabitants of the forest several times. Training with Satoshi played a big role in the girl's life, because after she started practicing, she was beaten a couple more times, and then they just couldn't catch her. Kurama then said that all people are stupid and do not see beyond their nose, and the head is generally given to them as an accessory. Uzumaki then laughed for a long time. But then the little Jinchuriki reached the designated point and saw her sensei, Satoshi-sensei, her. I'm sorry, I'm a little late, the girl bowed slightly, and then rested her hands on her knees. Nothing, Naruto-chan, you came on time. Slowly, as if with laziness, the tiger stretched out. What did you want to tell me? She looked at the tiger with the curiosity inherent in children. Naruto-chan, you have to take this seriously. Today is our last training session together, and you will have to show all your skills. In 3 days there will be a ceremony of your initiation into the Guardians. But, sensei, you said that the ceremony will take place in 6 years and, then the blonde, tucking her ears to her head, tried her best not to cry. Alas, I am too old and it is already difficult for me to maintain the protection of the forest, so everything happens much earlier. You have repeatedly proved to the forest spirits that you are worthy, the tiger explained. Well, little Kitsune, it's time to get started, and with these words, Satoshi rushed to the blue-eyed one. The training was just crazy, and the poor fox had to work very hard to at least stand up against the old keeper of the forest. But now the tailed one was running home, just past one of the polygons. It wasn't very dark, about 6 or 7 o'clock in the evening. The girl decided to rest, but as soon as she sat down, she immediately fell into a hole. Rising, Naruto looked around, and what was her surprise when she saw a boy of her own age. He had pale skin and black hair. He was dressed in white breeches and a blue t-shirt, and a red and white fan was painted on this very t-shirt. As far as the little girl knew, it was a sign of the Uchiha clan. Hey, are you okay? Taking his face in her hands, she asked. The boy only snorted softly at this and opened his black eyes, staring blankly at the blue-eyed one. Where am I and what happened here? The boy asked a question. Well, I do not know how you got here, but I fell here when I decided to rest a little. By the way, my name is Naruto Uzumaki. The blonde introduced herself. What about you, Uchiha Sasuke? The boy reluctantly introduced himself. He just thought that Uzumaki, like all the other girls, would start squeaking and blushing, but to the deepest shock of Uchiha Jr., this did not happen. And then he began to look closely at the unwitting neighbor, noting at the same time her strange style and very good appearance. The girl was wearing a sand-colored Panama hat, a bright orange sundress to her ankles and a white blouse that slightly covered her thin neck. Blue kunoichi sandals were on her legs. Outwardly, too, she was nothing. Big blue eyes framed by thick and long eyelashes, a neat slightly upturned nose, plump pink lips, plump cheeks with 3 stripes on each. And hair for Sasuke was generally a separate topic. In his black-haired crown it did not fit why they were like this, blood red descended from under the cap, but reaching the middle and ending with the tips, they turned golden. "Nice to meet you." The little girl smiled warmly, thereby pulling the new acquaintance out of his thoughts. And as soon as Uchiha himself realized that he had been looking at this strange girl for too long, he involuntarily blushed, but immediately pulled himself together. At the same time, Sasuke had a strange feeling that he had seen her somewhere, but could not remember where. Mutually, the black-haired man responded quietly. He answered her, if only because Naruto aroused some respect in him by not bowing to him. "Well, then let's get out," and, jumping up sharply, the baby ran up to the exit, which was a little far away, and even with Naruto's skills it would be difficult to get up. "Hey, Sasuke, where are you? We can only get out by joint efforts." Sasuke, but, turning around, Uzumaki stopped, seeing how the boy unsuccessfully tries to get to his feet, but constantly falls. "Sasuke." She quickly ran up to Uchiha. "Get down. And don't argue." Kitsune barked, seeing his attempts to object. After putting the boy down, Uzumaki began rummaging in her bag and took out 3 scrolls. After printing out the first scroll, which contained medicinal herbs, the baby quickly began to mix, pound and cut something. Uchiha looked at all this with round eyes. 10 minutes later, a fox came up to him. "You have a severe bruise, but these compresses should help." With these words she began, so to speak, treatment. After the compress was finished, Blue-Eyed opened the second scroll. There was food there. And again, the poor Uchiha was in shock. "I'm sorry, I just rarely appear in the village and always cook for myself, so that if anything, I have at least some supplies." The blonde awkwardly scratched her head. "Help yourself. To say that it was delicious is to say nothing." I especially liked Sasuke, who hadn't eaten since the morning. "Thank you." The black-haired man smiled a little, and, "Yes, you're welcome." And again a bright smile. "Oh, I'm sorry, I completely forgot." The little beast ran and opened the third scroll. There was a big blanket there. Having spread it out, the girl helped the black-eyed man to crawl over to the blanket. She sat down, at the same time putting the boy on her lap, which made him blush a little again and wanted to get up, but the girl herself stopped him. "Don't get up, it will be more comfortable for you. There's just no pillow, and you? Don't worry about me. That's it, go to sleep now," putting a bag under his head. And already through a nap Sasuke remembered this girl. Monster. At this moment the younger Uchiha realized that he had completely ceased to respect many in the village and, smiling, "They broke my wings." My wheezing sometimes sounded like a howl and I was numb with pain and powerlessness and only whispered, "Thank you for being alive, Dawn in Konoha." Yes, perhaps this moment is beautiful, but nothing lasts forever, and our little fox understands this, and therefore she decided that it was time to get up and wake up her new friend. Although Naruto almost screamed before, but then she remembered everything. Kurama does not talk to the girl, and in general he announced a boycott to her for helping Uchiha. "Hey, get up. It's time for us, I've found a way out, and they're probably already looking for you." The blonde gently poked the boy in the shoulder. Yes, the answer is very clear. Sasuke, get up. I shouted at the kid. What? Where is it burning? Sasuke jumped up from his seat and started looking around, but when he heard laughter, he frowned. What demon? Hokage, you. Hee. You should have seen with. Your face. Hee face, you would have just the same, laughed. At this, the brunette just folded his arms on his chest and chuckled. Me too, I found something to laugh about. You said something about a way out, Uchiha reminded. Oh, right, Jinchuriki lightly tapped her forehead. See? She pointed to a beam of light 5 meters away from them and, after waiting for an affirmative nod, continued, this is the way out. And how do you plan to get to the top? Uchiha raised an eyebrow skeptically. Well, in general, let's go, and you'll find out for yourself, and the children went to the light. Meanwhile, in the Uchi house, Mikoto was restless. No, not like that. She was sobbing, and in the next room, Fugaku and Itachi were sitting at the table and thinking hard about something. And all because yesterday their youngest son disappeared, and Fugaku set the whole clan's ears, but, being the head of the Uchi, he had other problems. Then a pale, black-haired woman flew into the kitchen. Her eyes were red and swollen from tears. It's you. The woman screamed. You and no one else. You never loved Sasuke and didn't treat him like a son, and you took away Itachi's childhood. Of course, after all, the children of the clan head must be strong. That's what it's come to. Yes, you will not get a good word from you. Clan this, clan that. I'm sick of it. Mikoto would have screamed for a long time, and Itachi and his father would have been in shock all day if the woman hadn't fainted from the strain. In general, Mikoto Uchiha was by nature a quiet woman, a loving mother and wife, and she never even thought of going against her husband. But when it came to children, she became stubborn and strong and was ready to go even against Fugaku. And as soon as her youngest son disappeared, she threw a tantrum, which never happened at all, but no one found the boy, and it was killing the woman. Everything was already mixed up in her head, starting from the abduction and ending with murder and experiments. Polygon. Naruto and Sasuke. Hurrah, freedom! Finally. A little Kitsune was running and jumping around the clearing. It took them a good 3 hours to get out of that ill-fated pit. Hey, Sasuke, what are you doing? Aren't you glad? The black-eyed man shuddered a little and smiled. No, it's just that my leg hurts, but everything is fine. Sasuke smiled a little wider. Compresses of his new friend helped, of course, well, but the leg could not be overloaded, and therefore it hurt again. Oh! Uzumaki quickly ran up to Uchiha and sat down next to him, putting his head on her lap. Wait, a friend of mine said that if something hurts or is bad, you need to distract yourself a little, and the pain will recede. Sasuke felt good. He was thinking about Naruto and the village, about his family, and fell asleep with such thoughts. So 2 hours passed, and the Uchiha was woken up by the girl again. Sasuke, we have to go, I'll help you walk, show me where you live. The boy nodded, and the blue-eyed woman helped him up. Meanwhile, in the Uchi house, the head of the Uchiha Fugaku clan, a strong shinobi who knows how to hide his emotions perfectly, was now sitting and calming his wife. He was also very worried about his son, but did not show it. Mikoto clung to him and sobbed softly. Yes, and Itachi was sitting next to him and looking out the window with an absent look. Everyone was excited by the sound of the door opening, but no one paid attention to it, but in vain. The next second, a ringing girly voice rang out in the house. Hey! Is anyone home? It's kind of hard for me here, actually. Sasuke is not easy, shouted an indignant voice. Everyone immediately rushed to the front door. There they saw a girl of Sasuke's age, who, in fact, supported the aforementioned boy, son. Mikoto grabbed Sasuke in her arms, bursting into tears, and then hugged Naruto, which shocked her and everyone present. Naruto, because no one has ever hugged her, and the rest, by their behavior. Thank you, the woman whispered, hugging the children tighter. Uzumaki pulled away from Mikoto and smiled warmly at everyone. Sasuke, I'm going. Wait. The boy grabbed Uzumaki by the handles. Everyone stared at this picture in amazement. Yes, that Sasuke would ask someone to stay, and if this someone is also a girl. The world has definitely gone crazy. Stay and have lunch with us. Yes, stay, at the same time tell me how you met Sasuke. By the way, my name is Mikoto, this is my husband Fugaku, and this is Sasuke's older brother, Itachi," the black-haired woman said, already smiling slightly. "My name is Naruto Uzumaki." The girl cheerfully introduced herself. "And we met your son by chance. I then fell into a pit when I decided to rest on one of the polygons, and there he is. Don't worry, I had scrolls with me, and that's why we didn't freeze and ate," Uzumaki reported, and then suddenly hit herself on the head with her fist. "Oh, yes, Mikoto-sama, I forgot to say, Sasuke hurt his leg, he has a bruise. But I'll give you something. Could you take us to the living room?" The blue-eyed one asked. Yes, the Uchiha caught herself. "Darling, take Sasuke, put him on the sofa. Come on, Naruto-chan." "Yeah." Entering the living room, the girl went to the sofa on which Uchiha Jr. was lying and took a scroll out of her bag, which surprised everyone even more, except Sasuke, who had already seen it, but nevertheless, "Mikoto-sama, these are compresses, they help very well, bruises pass very quickly." Vixen smiled broadly. But when she saw the sadness on the woman's face, she became worried. "Mikoto-sama, what's wrong with you?" "Such compresses were made by my best friend, Kushina Uzumaki." "Yes," Naruto said sadly. "Where is she now?" The little girl asked a question, because Kurama had already told her about her parents, but said that there was a small chance that Kushina, Naruto's mother, survived. "She died 6 years ago. A blow to the heart. But she could do a lot of things." "Naruto-chan, what's wrong with you?" Everyone looked at the girl. Big tears were streaming down her cheeks, and her blue eyes were staring into the void. And as if in a trance she said, "How so?" "Mom," everyone shuddered, as if from a slap in the face, and looked at the girl with widened eyes, and she continued. "Because Kurama-sama said, that there's a chance that you're alive." "Mammy." Sasuke didn't understand what was going on, but he understood one thing for sure, Naruto needed support. "Naruto, just Uchiha Jr. wanted to say something," as the blonde blew up and, throwing apologies and promises that she would come to visit later, disappeared behind the door. Mikoto stood and pressed one hand to her chest, and covered her mouth with her palm. "Kami-sama, what kind of friend is she after that?" 2 days have passed since Naruto promised to visit Sasuke. The boy was very worried, which was not like him at all. Mikoto, adding 2 plus 2, realized one thing: everything that the third said that the whole Yondaime family had died was a complete lie. And Naruto is living proof of that. Now the whole Uchi family was having breakfast, everyone was thinking about something different. Fugaku, about the greed of the top of the village, after all, Minato was his best friend. Mikoto, about Kushin, Itachi, about the task, and Sasuke, about Naruto. He was worried about his friend, but the family idol was interrupted by a scraping. At first, no one understood anything. Suddenly the front door slammed lightly, and a fox appeared in the doorway with some kind of bag in his teeth. Putting the bag on the floor, the fox respectfully bowed her head and spoke. "Naruto-san asked me to tell you that everything is fine with her, and she apologizes for not being able to visit you due to urgent matters." "Oh, yes, the lady, of course, knows that Mikoto-sama has a good command of iron jutsu, but she still asked me to pass these medicines." "Don't worry, Sasuke-kun," Uzumaki said that you will meet tomorrow at the academy. "I'm sorry for the intrusion, I have to go." And having said that, the fox disappeared. Everyone was in shock, but, oddly enough, Sasuke was the first to leave. What other business? She promised, and... Stop. I am completely confused, but I am glad that we will meet tomorrow, the black-haired man mused aloud, and then smiled and went to his room, after thanking his mother for breakfast. "Mom, it looks like our Sasuke liked the girl," Itachi said thoughtfully, arriving in a slight shock. "You're right, son. Fugaku replied, also being in the astral, but he's small, Itachi, all ages are submissive to love, my son. Although Sasuke won't understand it now, Mikoto gently objected the academy. 07:58. Sasuke stood next to his brother and looked for his girlfriend with his eyes. He was worried that they would not meet the red-haired one, but outwardly the younger Uchiha was calm. Itachi, on the other hand, watched his stupid brother from under the silence and mentally chuckled. It was then that the red-haired top caught his eye. Sasuke even started up and gently pulled the baby by the edge of the orange kimono. Kitsune turned around in bewilderment and even with some fear, but as soon as she came face to face with the brunette, she immediately smiled warmly. Hi, Sasuke. I'm sorry I couldn't visit you, there were urgent matters. The girl got a little sad. By the way, how's your leg? Hello. I thought you weren't coming. The leg is fine, thank you. Okay, let's go to Itachi, the boy said. Naruto just nodded. Approaching Itachi, the girl greeted him, and everyone began to listen to the tedious speech of the third. Sasuke was imperceptibly examining a friend. The girl was wearing an orange floor-length kimono with beautiful sakura flowers, and her red hair was pinned high. There was a spiral on her back. That's truly Uzumaki. Itachi was also looking at the baby, just out of interest. But nothing lasts forever, and that's why all the children were invited to take photos. After the photo was taken, all the children went to class. When the children entered the room, Naruto separated from Sasuke and went to the last desks. The boy himself, not immediately noticing the loss, sat down near the window. A flock of girls immediately formed near his desk, who began to squeal, Sasuke-kun, can I sit with you? The blonde was asking for it. Cool down, pork, I'll sit down with Sasuke-kun. Another girl with pink hair shouted. This went on for 5 minutes, until the brunette got up and walked to the blue-eyed desk under the surprised glances of his fans. Uchiha silently took Naruto by the hand and sat her down next to him. Naruto is sitting here, and now disappear, the black-eyed man said coldly. But how is it, Sasuke-kun? The fans howled in one voice, and a second later they turned to the red-haired girl and wanted to say something to her, but they were interrupted by the teacher. He was a man with brown hair tied in a tight high ponytail and a scar on the bridge of his nose. So, I ask everyone to take their seats. Now we will take turns going to the blackboard and introduce ourselves to each other. I'll start first. My name is Umino Irika. I love ramen and kids. The zodiac sign is Pisces. And now you. Irika began to call the names of the children, and they took turns coming out and introducing themselves. Next, Uchiha Sasuke. My name is Sasuke Uchiha. What I love and don't love doesn't concern you. The dream is to become strong. Having said this, the boy looked around the classroom with an icy gaze and sat down. Okay, then Naruto Uzumaki. After reading the name, Umino grimaced as if from a toothache, and a red-haired little girl came out into the middle of the class. Hello. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. I love nature, foxes and wolves. I don't like when the weak are offended. My dream is to find a family and become stronger. The blue-eyed girl smiled warmly and was about to go to the place, when some boy shouted from the place, yes, you will never have a family, you're a monster, I bet your parents abandoned you, and then left the village. I even guess who they were. The mother is a whore, and the father is an alcoholic. The monster. The boy shouted. Everyone froze and looked at the girl, and Irika, who wanted to intervene, was stopped by Naruto's hand, which was smiling sadly. Kurama-san was right, there is no place for weapons among people, and I, stupid, was hoping to find friends, the girl said softly, and then continued louder, you know, if my mom was around, it's unlikely we would have stayed here. Excuse me sensei, I'll probably go. It was nice to meet you. And, smiling once more, the fox left. As soon as the door closed behind the girl, Sasuke flew up to the boy and knocked him to the floor. Everyone looked at it with shock. Iruka, instantly coming to his senses, grabbed Uchiha Jr. and pulled him away from the boy. Sasuke, you can't do that. Yes, of course Shiro-kun went too far, but that's not a reason to attack him with fists. The brown-haired student tried to calm the raging student. Oh, yes, in your opinion, destroying a person morally is just overreacting, right? With sarcasm in his voice. Listen, Shiro, if you are so aware of her parents, then tell us, and at the same time this, as you put it, monster, otherwise everyone is wondering where they went. You know, Iruka-san, I think I'll go too, there are a lot of jerks here. Having said that, the boy left the classroom. Half a year has passed since Naruto entered the academy. The red-haired girl was sitting next to Uchiha, for this the whole fan. The boys' club hated her. And Sasuke himself didn't care, the main thing was that his best friend was sitting next to him. Yes, during these 6 months, the guys have become very close friends and have become almost inseparable. Flashback: as soon as Sasuke left the classroom, he immediately went to his brother, who was waiting for him at the gates of the academy. Itachi smiled a little when he saw Sasuke, but the smile disappeared as soon as the boy approached him. What happened, Sasuke? He asked. Ni-san, tell me, what did Naruto do that they treat her like that? Black-eyed asked. Did something happen? Although Itachi wasn't surprised at all, knowing that the girl is Jinchuriki. But you still can't. Yes. One jerk called her a monster and said nasty things about her parents. Told Sasuke, walking next to his brother in the direction of the house. This is bad. The older brunette expressed his opinion. The Uchiha brothers came to the house, where they were met by Mikoto. She asked Sasuke about how the first day at the academy went, and the answer upset the woman. She did not like the way the girl was treated. Kami-sama, but what kind of monster is this baby? Rather, the monsters are those who surround her in this village. After the conversation, Mikoto started cooking dinner. In the evening of the same day, there was a knock at the Uchiha's house. And when Itachi opened the door, he was very surprised to see Naruto. Excuse me, Itachi-san, can I have Sasuke-kun? Oh, Naruto-chan. Mikoto exclaimed as she emerged from the kitchen. You're just in time, we have dinner. Come on in. I'm sorry, Mikoto-sama, but I went to Sasuke-kun on business. Don't be rude, but I don't have much time. The red-haired woman bowed. Oh, come on, Naruto, come in, have dinner with us. Sasuke has already said, who, having just heard the name Naruto, hurried to the door. Come on. And, grabbing the girl by the hand, pulled her by the hand into the kitchen. No. Everyone looked at her in surprise, and the girl became comparable in color to her hair. I mean, don't think about it, simply. I need to be home before dark, otherwise Kanbu-san will be angry. Well, don't tell them that Kyubi is against it, although she didn't lie about Anbu. Don't worry, we'll warn the Hokage. The black-haired woman smiled. Well, if so, then. Good. The tailed one in the girl's subconscious gave up, and everyone went to the kitchen. As soon as they sat down at the table, Mikoto said that Fugaku would not be home today because he still had some things to do in the police. At dinner, everyone started talking quietly. Naruto-chan, you said that some Anbu would be angry. Are you afraid of him? The woman asked the question she was interested in. The baby looked a little sad and put down a mug of tea. Well, there was one case. It was my 5th birthday and I then ran away from the village to the forest and stayed there for about a week, and when I returned, my apartment was in terrible condition. I then wanted to go and ask the third to help me. But then Anbu grabbed me and locked me in an apartment for 8 days. I tried to get out, but there were seals. Naruto was telling the truth about Anbu. Kami-sama, how angry the fox was then. From her story, everyone who was sitting at the table had goosebumps. Mikoto's eyes stung a little. Then I lost consciousness, and I had a strange dream. There was a library, and there was a spiral on the wall. I took books and read them. As I found out later, it was my subconscious. That's when I found out who my mom was, because she left me everything she knew herself. I woke up in the hospital. That's why I'm afraid of Anbu. Sasuke was angry, Itachi was recovering, and Mikoto closed her eyes, trying to calm the storm inside her. Then the woman opened them and looked at Naruto seriously. Naruto-chan, can you tell me anything about your mom? Yes, she should check the accuracy of her assumptions to dispel doubts, yes. But, alas, not so much. I only know that my mother lived here, was the only Uzumaki in the village and died in the attack of the nine-tailed. Her name was Kushina, and she, suddenly Naruto was hugged. Mikoto hugged the baby to her, and tears flowed down her cheeks. Naruto-chan, your mom and I were best friends, the black-eyed woman sobbed. The children looked at her in surprise. But we were told that Kushina, you and your father died. Sorry, Mikoto-sama, can you tell me about her? The girl asked. Yes. Only later, okay? After receiving an affirmative nod, she wiped her tears and continued, and now let's finish our tea. And yes, Naruto-chan, you're staying with us tonight. The woman clapped her hands. And don't be stubborn. Seeing the surprised fox, the woman laughed good-naturedly. Knowing Kushina, I can say with confidence that you are just as stubborn. End of flashback. Since then, the doors of the Uchiha house have always been open for her. The incident that occurred on the first day has long been forgotten, but this has not changed the attitude towards the baby. And now, for example, while there is no brunette nearby, a bunch of girls have gathered around the little keeper of the forest. Hey you! Chanterelle was pulled out of her memories by the voice of a girl with blonde hair braided into a high ponytail. Ino, it seems. We're giving you one last warning. If we see you with our Sasuke-kun again, you will have big problems. And anyway, you're scary, and your hair is terrible. Another girl with pale pink hair, Sakura, picked up. You're always wearing some stupid hat, yes. And if Sasuke-kun is sitting with you, it doesn't mean anything. You're not giving him a pass. The others began to shout, tomato. Yes, that's right, you're a tomato, no one likes them. Naruto endured as much as she could, but even though she got the character of her father, she is still Uzumaki. Therefore, after the last remark, she could not stand it. Lowering her head low, Kitsune clenched her hands into fists, a dark aura began to thicken around her, and her hair began to move dangerously. Yes, the girl could endure a lot, but when it comes to her hair, she could not control herself and therefore, not dare touch my hair. The blue-eyed one shouted, looking around everyone with an evil look. Everything was quiet and almost everyone was looking at the red-haired girl, burning with righteous anger. You're boring. How do you not understand that you are only making things worse with your stupid behavior? Why are you bothering me? Well, I'm sitting with Sasuke, and what's next? Here you are running after him, and have you ever wondered what it looks like from the outside? With these words, the baby sat down. What's going on here? The instigators of the dispute shuddered and turned around. Behind them stood none other than Uchiha. Oh, Sasuke-kun, and we didn't notice when you came, Yamanako said a little nervously. Get away from my desk and don't touch Naruto, the brunette said calmly. Although inwardly he was very angry at these fools, but, Sasuke-kun. Why? Why is this tomato allowed to sit with you, but we can't? Haruno yelled. Firstly, Naruto is not a tomato, and secondly, step away from the desk, the teacher has come." With these words, the boy sat down. The fans sighed in resignation and sat down in their seats, burning the red-haired woman with hateful glances. As soon as the classes ended, Uzumaki and Uchiha went to the very training ground where they met and began to train. Sasuke was amazed at his girlfriend, how she could train in this terribly uncomfortable kimono. Naruto herself was thinking about how she could at least release the fox a little so that he would be around in the real world. Because of her thoughts, the girl missed the blow and fell. "Naruto. Are you okay?" "Sorry. Sasuke, everything is fine," the girl smiled. "Would you like some tea, HM?" "I don't mind." Spreading the blanket on the grass, Kitsune took out a scroll and opened it. The air immediately smelled of homemade cakes and green tea. The children sat and watched the birds fly, and a small lake shimmers in the sun, and fluffy clouds are reflected in it. They often did this. They liked to just sit next to each other and be silent. In this Malachnia they understood each other much more. That's the magic between them. The chapter is also about nothing. Sorry, the Genin exam will be in the next chapter. I'll probably explain some points. Naruto wears a kimono because she has to wear it because she is a forest keeper, but as soon as she gets the title of Genin, she has the right to wear any clothes. Also, the Uchiha within the clan are friendly and accept Naruto as their own. In general, I don't know what my writing will result in, but I think everything will be fine. Leave feedback, speak your mind, don't be silent. I will correct my shortcomings. Oh, yes, I'm sorry for my forgetfulness. We urgently need a CO author. I may have to rewrite some chapters because it doesn't work out very well. In general I have everything. Sorry for the mistakes and enjoy reading equals smiley face equals the Genin exam is in a month. Someone was chatting, someone was sleeping, and someone was frankly bored. Naruto, who was already waiting for Sasuke out of habit, was playing with a little fox. But how she got this fox cub remains a mystery to everyone. In fact, this story is a little sad. 2 years ago, there was a fire in the neighboring forest, then Naruto was busy restoring her forest. And when the keeper restores his forest, he disconnects from the outside world. And when the girl woke up, she did not immediately understand what was the reason for the panic and excitement of her wards, but as soon as she saw a picture of a burning forest, the baby hurried there. Alas, she was too late, but she was still able to put out the fire. All the animals that were there, the red-haired Kitsune took and cured. In the end, she tried to find out the reason why there was a fire. The reason turned out to be quite simple: the keeper of the forest was kidnapped, and his possessions were set on fire. Uzumaki also found a small fox cub whose family died in a fire. Then, greatly tormented by guilt, the girl took the almost dead animal and cured him. Since then he has not left his savior and protects her. That's how Suki the fox appeared. Uzumaki Heim was distracted from sad memories by the fanatical screeching of her classmates. Ino and Sakura are the main fans of her friend, and their arrogance knows no bounds when Naruto is alone. And now, when the brunette sat down next to the red-haired girl, the girl literally felt these envious glances with her skin. "Hi, Naruto," the boy greeted quietly. "Hi, Sasuke-kun," Uzumaki smiled easily. "Didn't you tear it up for souvenirs?" The girl winked. The aura around Uchiha thickened, and he looked at her resentfully, to which she only laughed softly. Everything abruptly quieted down. Iruka entered the classroom and, after greeting everyone, held a roll call. While Yumino was filling out the magazine, the guys in the class were quietly whispering. "So, kids." The man's loud voice made everyone in the class shudder in unison. "Today we dedicate all lessons to the strongest clans. First we will start with the strongest existing clans. These are Senju, Uchiha, Hyuga, Inuzuka, Aburame, Yamanako and Nara. So let's start with, excuse me, sensei, but are there also non-existing clans? Sakura asked. Yes, take for example the Senju clan. Its last representative is Tsunade Senju. This clan has almost disappeared. Iruka looked around the class with a serious look and continued. The last lesson remained. Oddly enough, but all the children listened, greedily absorbing every word. They were interested in the traditions and peculiarities of the clans. Clan children went to the blackboard and talked about the distinctive features of their clans and about some of the features and traditions. Now we proceed to the last clan, but, alas, to the dead one. This is the Uzumaki clan. There were whispers in the audience. This clan specialized in fuinjutsu. The distinctive feature of the clan was scarlet hair, but, unfortunately, during the Third Shinobi War, this clan was completely destroyed, and its knowledge was lost. There were rumors that the last representative of the clan lived in Konoha 12 years ago. But Naruto interrupted him. Iruka-sensei, you only know about Uzumaki from books, don't you? Blue-eyed asked. Yes. Everything that is written in the books of the library and in the textbooks of the academy is all that is known about him. He looked at the girl a little uncomprehendingly, but then his gaze became meaningful. Exactly. Naruto, you're Uzumaki. Everyone looked at her. There was another whispering, yes. I know I'm Uzumaki. And now, can I complete you, sensei? Brown-haired, still looking at the girl in surprise, nodded slowly. Naruto went to the middle of the class. As sensei said earlier, my clan specializes in fuinjutsu, that is, mastery and creation of seals. A distinctive feature of Uzumaki were red hair and explosive temper. Because of this they were called red-haired demons. The sign of the clan is a spiral. Once a great clan lived in Uzushio or simply in the whirlpool. I think that's enough. The fox wanted to go to her place, as someone from the class asked her a question. If you are Uzumaki, then why are you so calm? But it's true, Naruto herself said that all representatives of her clan have an explosive character. Is it that important to you? The blue-eyed woman answered the question with a question. Then you're lying. Liar. The clansless began shouting all sorts of insults at the harem of the Scarlet Demon clan. Iruka had already opened his mouth to tell everyone to calm down, but changed his mind when he looked at the student. Oh, you little nits. There were 9 strands floating in the air, and the smile was frightening. The look did not promise anything good. Who did you decide to call a liar? With these words, Jinchuriki banged on the desk, so much so that it broke. So I'm crucifying myself here in front of them, and they, excuse me, Iruka-sensei, can I sit down? Naruto asked, smiling sweetly. Did everyone shudder? Did they imagine it, or did they hear bones crack? Why yes, of course, have a seat, he replied a little nervously. However, Kitsune did not do this because the bell rang, and therefore, after saying goodbye, the girl called Suki and left the classroom. Iruka has loved children for as long as he can remember, but this did not apply to the local demon. After all, it was because of him that a man once lost his relatives. He had never thought of this little girl as an orphan child who needed support and understanding. Yumino remembered those moments when he saw how hatred fell heavily on this girl. He remembered her eyes filled with tears, pain, and pleading for help when the brown-haired man passed by while the girl was being beaten. Then no one looked that it was just a little defenseless girl, on whom a load of hatred had fallen. For them it was a demon guilty of the death of their friends and loved ones. Iruka himself was like that until one moment. One day, when he was walking in the forest, he saw Naruto. Then she was wearing a blue kimono and sitting on the grass, helping some animal to get out of the trap. Then the man began to watch her, and when the trap was finished, the girl got up and called him loudly. To say that Irika was surprised is to say nothing. How could an 8-year-old girl feel it? When she called him again, the man still came out. Then the girl smiled at him and, spreading a blanket, offered tea. To the skeptical question, "Where will you get it?" the little girl opened the scroll, and Yumino just looked at her in surprise. "But I drank the tea anyway." So they began to sit in the woods by the lake. And it was then that the brown-haired man saw in the girl a lonely child with a crippled soul, reproaching himself for having been blind before. After leaving the academy building, Naruto walked gracefully to the exit, followed by a small fox cub. Stopping at the gate, the girl began to wait for Sasuke, simultaneously talking to the nine-tailed. "Kurama-san, I feel an impending storm, and the fact that one of the guardians of the forest was abducted makes me worry. The spirits of the forest demand to put up barriers as soon as possible. It is unlikely that the kidnapper from the Fool set fire to the forest and took the keeper." The blue-eyed woman shared her experiences. "Don't be afraid, little one, everything will be fine. Even if something happens, I will help you, and don't forget that the red ice will tear up anyone for you, especially the little one, it's like a guarantee." Kyubi grinned in his subconscious. At this statement, the girl blushed to the tips of her ears. But just as she was about to answer, she felt someone pull on her kimono sleeve. Raising her head, the red-haired woman saw Uchiha in front of her. He wasn't looking at her enough. "What?" Unable to withstand this look, the girl exclaimed, "You left me." The boy mumbled, looking away and slightly puffing out his cheeks, "It's not true." "What makes you think that?" Uzumaki asked in surprise. "From that?" Exclaimed in a low voice. "Left me to be torn to pieces by these idiots." At such a statement, Jinchuriki burst into a fist. The brunette wanted to add something else, but changed his mind after hearing a multiple cry of "Saskekun." And so, throwing his indignant girlfriend over his shoulder, he rushed to the forest at the speed of light. As for Sasuke, Naruto liked him immediately after the first conversation. He is used to judging people not by their appearance, as it often happens, but by their actions and behavior. Uzumaki became his first friend, and the more the boy learned about her life, the more he despised Konoha. Sasuke and Naruto talked almost every day, but once a month the baby disappeared, and so that no one would worry about her, she sent her talking foxes. The Uchiha family was well aware of the girl's life and became very attached to her. Mikoto always said that Kushina-hime, or as she called her, Kushi-chan, would be proud of her daughter. Fugaku told the girl about her father, and Mikoto, as promised, about her mother. A woman who dreamed of a daughter found her in the person of the daughter of her deceased friend. When Kitsune returned battered, but impossibly happy, everyone sighed calmly. But everything was not as smooth as we would like. Uchiha Jr. was annoyed that the girl was smiling at everyone. For some reason, it was unpleasant for him that she chatted more with her brother or fellow clansmen, who always kindly extended a helping hand. Sasuke did not understand that it was jealousy, and he, alas, did not understand that he loved his girlfriend. Yes, it's true, usually cold and unsociable Sasuke loved her touch, loved gatherings in nature, even black-eyed loved to put her head on her lap and forget sweet sleep. The first rays of the sun appear over the Konoha forest, they color the sky and clouds in delicate shades. A fox is sleeping on the shore of the lake, and a girl is sitting next to him. The baby was dressed in a beautiful kimono of pale pink color, a pattern of sakura flowers on the sleeves and hem, a lilac belt with beautifully embroidered flowers on it was tied with a white bow on which fancy patterns were drawn, a red spiral was embroidered on the back. On his right hand hung a pendant with the same spiral, and his long red hair was gathered in a high ponytail. A little lower, they were wrapped in a light white fabric, which was held thanks to a red lilac ribbon clip decorated with the same small spirals of red, which made it seem as if the hair was twisted into a kind of ball, and at the end they were tied with a white satin ribbon. The bangs were picked up by an invisible man, 2 blood-red strands hung forward. The completion of all this was a lilac-pink hairpin with a cherry blossom and the same unchanging spirals, but only pink. But that's not all, the girl had golden fox ears and the same tail. She was petting a fox cub and looking at the lake. Well, today is the genin exam. I'm so worried. Kurama-san, what if I don't pass? What if I fail? I won't be a ninja. Although Naruko was calm outwardly, it had nothing to do with what was going on inside her. And therefore she was getting the poor demon, who was already wrapped in his tails and looked like a giant fur ball. Ah, shut up already. You'll pass, I'm sure of it. You reach a weak hunin in terms of strength, and here you are afraid of some kind of exam. Kurama still couldn't stand it and shut up his Jinchuriki. In general, you need to think about something else, the fox added more calmly. Perhaps you're right, Kurama-san, should think about the recent incidents. Yes, and that case with the keeper of the neighboring forest. The spirits demand to strengthen the barriers as soon as possible and do not sleep themselves. They take care of the forest. Uzumaki looked very thoughtful, but suddenly she spread out like a puddle and muttered aloud, but that doesn't change the fact that I'm worried. I'm late, shouted the red-haired beast, rushing through the streets of Konoha, occasionally colliding with onlookers. Next to her, a fox cub was running at full speed. Damn, I should have moved out earlier. In general, it's your fault, Suki. At such a statement, the animal only snorted and accelerated, as if hinting that they were already too late. And don't sulk, you look like a fur ball. Just like Kurama-san, Kitsune already mentally finished, and immediately stopped, already preparing for a new skirmish, but only loud snoring served as her answer. Thank Kami-sama, he didn't hear that. About 5 minutes later, the academy building appeared. Having flown into the classroom, the girl apologized for being late and sat down. She was dressed the same as she was then, except that she did not have a ponytail, and on her head was a soft lilac Panama hat. Irika started broadcasting again about what difficult exams would be, but in principle no one listened to him. As soon as Naruto sat down next to Sasuke, she immediately gave a light push in the side. Looking at the boy a little surprised, she received an answer. Why are you late? Uchiha whispered indignantly. Where have you been anyway? He looked inquiringly at the girl. Naruto herself shuddered internally. The brunette said it in such a tone, as if his wife Uzumaki had not spent the night at home, but, having gathered herself, the red-haired woman replied, had things to do, that's why I was late. But seeing the inquisitive look, the blue-eyed nervously added, well, in general, Suki didn't wake me up in time. Uchiha, Uzumaki, am I bothering you? Their cute dialogue was interrupted by an exasperated Yumino. And now I will repeat it again for you. The next Uchiha Sasuke. The task is to make a henge and a clone. At this, the black-eyed man only snorted and, out of order, folded the seal. When the cloud of smoke dissipated, an exact copy of him appeared in front of the brown-haired man. Another seal, and a clone appeared. All the girls immediately started shouting, "Oh, Sasuke-kun. You're so cool. You're the best," and such nonsense. So a little more time has passed, so far, sorry, kids, but Hokage is calling me urgently. Mizuki-sensei will be examining you. With these words, the man disappeared. A man entered the class, PA. I think everyone knows what Mizuki looks like, so I won't describe. Love. Sitting down at the table, he continued through the list. Kitsune was very worried. What if she didn't pass? Sasuke had already shot back and was waiting for her in a secluded place where no fan would find, but now it was something else, clones. They didn't work out for the redhead in any way, only shadow ones. Even though she knew everything from the replacement to what her elements were, the girl was worried. I was worried that she might be discovered, because shadow clones are a B-rank technique, and she's not even a genin yet. From here, questions will float, as a result of which she will have problems, and then hello Grandpa Danzo and goodbye Nine-Tailed. The final stop is the Seminea station, where Mommy and Daddy have been waiting for a long time. No, of course he and Kurama discussed the plan of action, but if they don't believe her? The teacher's voice brought the guardian out of such painful thoughts. Looking around, the girl realized that only she, Sakura, Hinata, Shino and someone else remained in the classroom. Naruto Uzumaki, the man repeated again, but louder. The fox slowly came forward from the line. She was pale, it was visible even to the naked eye. With slightly shaking hands, the blue-eyed woman folded the henge. A second later, at her own risk and fear, she made a shadow clone. To say that Mizuki was in shock is to say nothing. How do you know this technique? This is the technique of the second, and it is banned. The answer immediately popped up in the red-haired head. I didn't know she was banned. It's just that one day I watched Shinobi train and saw this technique. Got a ride? The girl was surprised in her thoughts. Very well. Then everything went smoothly. Iruka returned just when Naruto was receiving the bandage, and personally handed her the Konoha protector. Evening of the same day. The house of the head of the Uchiha clan, the whole Uchi family was sitting at the kitchen table and waiting for only one person, a red-haired and blue-eyed girl. A knock on the door. Itachi went to open it. Naruto was standing on the threshold. Hello, Itachi-san, sorry for being late, I was late at training. The girl smiled sweetly. It's okay, the black-eyed man smiled back. When she entered the kitchen, all eyes turned to the girl. She was wearing an orange kimono with a red spiral on the back, round green earrings with the sign of Konoha were in her ears. Her red hair was tied up in a high hairstyle, and the girl hid her fox ears with a green satin ribbon. I apologize for keeping you waiting, Uzumaki bowed low. Oh, nothing, sit down, Naruto-chan, Mikoto smiled. The evening in this house was spent with pleasant conversations and good jokes. In the end, the fox, of course, under the displeased grumbling of the Nine-Tailed, stayed the night with the Uchi. And at Sasuke's insistence, in the room next to his. 2 months have passed since the exams. During this time, the guys performed D-ranked missions. By the way, Uchiha and Uzumaki got into the same team, and Sakura along with them. This girl is an ardent fan of Sasuke. She sees enemies in all her peers for the heart of her future husband. Naruto tried to establish a relationship with her, but where they don't even listen to her, or even try to hit her at all. Yes, the children have grown up, they are already 14 years old. The 7th team with Captain Hatake Kakashi was operational, but nevertheless was not friendly. And no matter how much Kakashi tried to fix the situation, he couldn't do anything. And it was about feelings. Sakura idolized Sasuke, and he, in turn, tried to sort himself out and understand how he felt about one red-haired girl. Uzumaki herself took care of the forest and was looking for the missing guardian. In general, she was not up to love. Recently, the 7th team's mission ended, and everyone went home. Of course, the brunette wanted to drag the blue-eyed woman with him, but she refused, citing urgent matters. And that's why Uzumaki was now sitting in her clearing and drinking tea, sometimes smiling at memories. What is their first meeting with Sensei worth? Flashback, the announcement of the teams had long since ended, but 3 people were still sitting in the classroom, a brunette with black eyes, a pink-haired girl with green eyes and a blue-eyed owner of a shock of bright red hair. Well, where is he? The redhead whined, Sasuke-kun, let's go on a date. I know you've been wanting to tell me this for a long time. Oh, come off that sour stuff, Sakura-chan. I think the teacher will come soon, Naruto said cheerfully, leave me alone. You got me. Haruno shouted. About 2 more hours passed. But no one came. And then an idea came to Naruto, hey, and send to the roof, it's too hot in here. Everyone agreed with the girl. Climbing up to the roof, the red-haired woman opened the scroll, and immediately a large and soft blanket appeared. The girl began to spread it out. Sit down, guys. Or lie down, as it is convenient for anyone. Unable to resist, Haruno asked, where did you learn that? Well, like this. Well, is it really that important? Uchiha responded with displeasure. If you don't want to, we don't force you. And anyway, shut up, I'm tired of it. Sakura sat down a little confused, but after a while she lay down on the blanket and began to look at the sky. Uzumaki was sitting and reading a book, and the brunette was looking over her shoulder. Another 40 minutes passed. Sakura fell asleep curled up, Sasuke was sleeping on Blue-Eye's lap, Suki was also asleep and only the girl herself was still reading a book. She was so engrossed in it that she did not immediately hear the creak of the door leading to the roof. Oh, there you are. A calm and even a little bored voice made the fox shudder, and Sasuke, sharply undermined. I've been looking for you for half an hour. Sakura just got up and looked at the owner of the voice. In front of the guys was a man of about 20-25. He had silver hair sticking up and slightly to one side, his left eye was covered with a protector, and the lower half of his face was hidden by a mask. He was dressed in a standard jounin uniform. Oh, only half an hour. And where were the other 5 of you? The keeper asked sarcastically. Uchiha, realizing that this was only their mentor, returned to his former place. I got lost on the road of life, Kakashi said. Let's get to know each other better, sensei, give us an example. Stop. You can't get acquainted like that. Wait, with these words, the girl took out a scroll from her bag. As soon as the red-haired woman removed the seal, 4 vases of ice cream appeared. That's how, I think, acquaintance with homemade ice cream will be more pleasant, Naruto said with a sweet smile. Uzumaki-chan, where did you get such knowledge in seals? Sensei asked. I really like to read, and in the library I accidentally stumbled upon one book, everything was described there. Commendable, the man said, sitting down on the blanket. Uzumaki handed him a vase with a treat. Well, my name is Hatake Kakashi, I like to read, dreams and goals you don't need to know that I don't like, too. That's it, your turn, my name is Haruno Sakura. I love one person, but I don't like Uzumaki Tomato. The pink-haired woman exclaimed, my name is Uchiha Sasuke. I love tomatoes and family, and I don't like cheeky stickies. I won't tell you my dream, what would I say? Well, my name is Naruto Uzumaki. I love nature and friends, but I don't. Well, I don't like traitors. That's all, and flashback, yes, that's how we met. Of course, Hatake did not leave without punishment, the cunning Kitsune slipped laxative into his portion. Haim laughed, covering her mouth with her hand, remembering how at their first joint training the teacher often ran away somewhere. Well, it was as clear as day where he ran off to. Although there was something sad, because Suki stayed in the forest during any tasks the next morning. The 7th team stood in the Hokage's office and waited for their mission. Today, by all means, Uzumaki decided to ask the 3rd for a higher-ranked mission, and she hoped that her teammates would support her. So, kids, what kind of mission should I give you? Excuse me, Hokage-sama, Naruto began, on behalf of the entire 7th team, I would like to ask you to give a C-rank mission. I don't even know what to say to you. I don't think you can handle it, please. Third, we can do it, Naruto, you are still too young for such difficult tasks. Yumino started, but was interrupted. Irika-sensei, we have a strong team. Chanterelle pursed her ears a little dissatisfied under the cap, I have no doubt, but, the poor brown-haired man again failed to finish. This time his speech was interrupted by the Hokage. Calm down, Irika, I think they are coping with the escort mission. The old man let the smoke from his pipe out of his mouth and continued, Team number 7, your mission is to escort the son of the daimyo of the Land of Fire under cover. Hokage-sama, we will not let you down. The red-haired woman exclaimed joyfully. Sakura was also happy, because not only Uzumaki was tired of easy missions, Sasuke was just admiring his girlfriend, but Kakashi didn't care, he wanted to go home and sleep, so, Hiroshima-kun, come in. The door opened, and a guy about 15 years old entered the office. He had white hair that reached to his waist and was intercepted by a blue ribbon, as well as gray-yellow eyes, a neat nose and a beautiful face shape. The physique was more or less athletic, the guy was richly dressed. Gazing intently at the guys, he stopped looking at Uzumaki for a few seconds. What a beautiful girl will be with me on the way. Majestically approaching Uzumaki, the white-haired man took her by the hand and hugged her waist, pulling her to him and looking into her eyes. Listen, maybe that's all, we can go together. There was a pause. Everyone is in shock. Here Naruto pushes Hiroshima away with a shout and hides behind the brunette. And don't come near me. Clinging to Uchiha's t-shirt harder, the blue-eyed one squeaked. Oh, come on, we're still 3 days on the road. The daimyo's son winked at her. Ahem, Sasuke and Sakura, Naruto and Kakashi, you are required to escort Hiroshima-kun to his father's mansion in one piece. This is the essence of your task. And now you are free. Hi, Hokage-sama. This was already answered by Hatake. In an hour at the main gate, don't be late. With that, Hunin disappeared in a puff of smoke. The main gate of Konoha. Hiroshima, Sasuke, Sakura and Kakashi stood and waited for Uzumaki. Well, where is this brat? The pink-haired woman was indignant. Sakura, calm down, Uchiha said calmly and cast a frown at the guy standing next to him. For some reason, when this arrogant rolled up to his chanterelle, the brunette wanted to put him in the most terrible illusion he only knows. But, Sasuke-kun, this fool is nothing but trouble. As soon as the girl finished speaking, a red head appeared around the corner. Excuse me. I was just doing some business. The red-haired girl smiled sweetly. Hiroshima examined the fox from head to toe and smiled slyly. She was dressed in a short orange tunic with a black belt that emphasized a neat waist, black short shorts and knee-high socks of the same color. Shinobi sandals served as shoes. Her red hair was pulled back into a high ponytail, 2 long strands hanging below her chest. The girl hid her ears under a visor cap. Well, let's go. Yes, we're moving out, Hatake commanded. That's how they came out, Kakashi in front, Sasuke behind, Sakura on the left and Naruto on the right, and Hiroshima in the middle, but still walked to the right, closer to Uzumaki. But the most interesting thing is ahead. Since the path was not close, Kakashi decided to set up camp. After giving all the instructions to the students, the man took out a book and made an attempt to go into the world of literature. Yes, as if not so. Uzumaki caught the copyist by surprise. Sensei, you gave us all instructions. Sasuke, find firewood for a fire and, if possible, something edible. Sakura and Aichan tents and cooking. And even Hiroshima-san offered to help us. The fox narrowed her eyes slyly. Sasuke and Sakura thought about it. Indeed, and what? strictly speaking, will the teacher do? And what are you going to do? And I am this, as if, a trick question. That's what, and this Hataki could say with confidence. With the same sly expression, the girl continued, everything is clear with you, Kakashi-sensei. The blue-eyed woman sighed and made an angelic face. The man tensed. Well, then you will be left without dinner and will sleep outside. On the bare ground. And I'll also set all the insects on you, the girl gave out with the most innocent smile. It became quiet. Very quiet. Everything is in a drop. Kakashi somehow woke up and nervously squeezed out, don't worry, Uzumaki-chan. I'm going to put up tents, I just had to go somewhere on business. He got out, oh, that's how it is. The redhead batted her long eyelashes, Naruto, I think it's time for us to get to work. Sasuke has already said that. He just wanted to take a break from all this already, of course. A warm smile. So, Kakashi-sensei has tents, you have firewood, and Sakura and I have chan dinner. Is that right, teacher? She turned to the mentor, who only nodded actively in agreement. And everyone went about their business. POV Sasuke, I am exhausted today. Not so much physically as mentally. That damn Hiroshima. Why is he staring at Naruto like that? All the way, while we were walking, this peacock disguised talked to her, though I didn't hear much about what. But I could watch. And, apparently, she did not like his company very much, and Hiroshima did not seem to notice this and continued to tell Uzumaki something. She only smiled and nodded, occasionally answering his questions. Knowing her, I can assume that she did all this only out of politeness. And, moreover, who wants problems from a spoiled son of a daimyo? Okay, now is not the time. I need to get back as soon as possible. While I was talking about everything that had boiled over all day, I gathered branches for a fire and now I'm going back. Now I can already hear the voices of Naruto, Sakura and this peacock. So, what is this? End POV Sasuke Kakashi was sitting on a tree branch and reading a little book in a bright orange cover. Sakura, Naruto, and Hiroshima were doing something. At the same time, Hiroshima was looking over the red-haired girl's shoulder, and the girl was saying something. Here is such a picture. But then it was even better. The guy moved away from the girl, and she, laughing softly, patted his hair. She did it almost the same way she did it only to him, Sasuke. What he felt at that moment is difficult to describe. He was bursting with anger, a lot of questions were spinning in his head, but most of all he wanted to turn around and leave so as not to see all this. For some reason it was unpleasant, and the brunette also felt an urgent need to come and pick up the girl. Deep in thought over new and unexplored sensations, Uchiha did not immediately pay attention to the fact that Haruno has been trying to reach him for 5 minutes. Sasuke-kun, can you hear me? The pink-haired woman waved her hand in front of his face. What did you want, Sakura? The voice is colder than usual, but there are still notes of anger. Well, we just need firewood, and you, she hesitated, I understand you. And went to this nice talking couple. The closer he got, the better he could hear what they were talking about. Oh, Sasuke-kun. Kitsune exclaimed happily. He saw a hint of relief in her eyes. You're on time, we just have to make a fire, HN. What were you doing here? I couldn't restrain myself and asked Sasuke a question. What? Surprised look. Yes, nothing so special. It's just that when I was printing out our food, Hiroshima-san became interested, and he asked me to tell him about the life of shinobi. Naruto wasn't lying, but it didn't make it any easier. On the contrary, there was a certain indignation. Kakashi lit a fire, and Naruto organized something like a table and distributed portions to everyone. After everyone had eaten and dispersed, the fox left the camp and went to the river that was nearby. The moon shrouded the forest with a pleasant soft light, the quiet rustle of trees calmed, and the murmur of water caressed the ear. Looking around, the fox made sure that no one was spying on her and finally gave free rein to her ears and tail. Moving away from the water, Kitsune ran away and jumped into the water, raising a lot of spray. Behind her merriment, she belatedly heard that someone had left the tent. Instantly jumping out of the water, the girl quickly began to hide her ears. When this matter was over, none other than Uchiha came out from behind the bushes. "Oh, Sasuke-kun, it's you." She breathed a sigh of relief. "Did you expect to see this, Hiroshima?" With a certain resentment in his voice, the brunette replied, Sasuke, are you all right?" Blue-Eyed asked excitedly, "Yes, why?" But, having received no answer, he felt lips touching his forehead. Momentarily flaring up like a tomato, the boy grabbed his girlfriend by the shoulders and was surprised to find that her clothes were wet. "Naruto, why are you wet? Do you want to get sick?" "Oh, don't worry. I just decided to swim," the girl said cheerfully. "In clothes?" With irony, "Well, yes, why?" The girl had to lift her head to look into her friend's eyes. The moon was full, so it was clearly visible. "Do you want one too, what? Are you crazy? Well, what about it?" Innocently patting his eyes, "No, well, good. Then wait, I'll change, and we'll spend the night here. Please." Naruto put her palms together and concocted sad eyes. Okay, Uchiha gave up, smiling warmly. And so, less than 5 minutes later, the girl returned in a yukata and with a scroll in her hands. The red-haired woman made the necessary seals, and a large blanket appeared in the clearing. "You still forget about pillows," the black-haired man grumbled without malice. "Well, you can't take away what you have." Uzumaki shrugged her shoulders importantly and lay down on the blanket. A black-eyed man landed next to her, and now they are both watching the stars. Unbeknownst to themselves, they fall asleep. The morning began with Sakura's screams and Kurama's quiet mat. Not understanding what was the matter, Naruto opened her eyes and looked around. After making an attempt to stand up, Uzumaki realized that something was preventing her from doing so. This something, or rather, someone, turned out to be Sasuke. 3, 2, 1. Kakashi and Hiroshima came running to this cry. What appeared before them shocked them. After all, it's not every day you see an Uchiha who, like a tick, clung to someone. "Let me go!" Uzumaki continued to shout. The brunette had already released her, and she immediately stopped screaming and kicking. Everyone spent the rest of the journey in silence. Only now Sakura threw sidelong glances at Naruto, and Hiroshima, at Sasuke. The very same couple tried not to look at each other, and if their views collided, then Naruto blushed very much and turned away from each other. The 7th team was already in place, but since it was too late, Hiroshima literally ordered the guys to stay until morning. Kakashi decided to agree, although nothing dangerous happened on the way. Well, the attack of a gang of robbers does not count. The children were tired. This was evident from the slightly hunched figure of Uchiha, the slightly pale Uzumaki and the slightly absent-minded Haruno. Of course, Sasuke himself was against such a stop and burned a hole in the son of the daimyo with his eyes, but who will ask his opinion? And, as the copyist noticed, the boy is not amiss. There's how he walks around the red-haired one and quietly freaks out. All this was frankly amusing. But it was necessary to report to the daimyo as a whole, so now the guys were on the carpet. There were no serious attempts on the way. The task was completed. Hiroshima Dano is in perfect order, Hatake reported. Well, I'm quite pleased with you. You can go to the rooms allocated to you. The ruler waved his hand. Hi, without much enthusiasm in the voice and yet, Oddly enough, the genin spoke together with their mentor in harmony. "Father, I'd like to talk to you," Hiroshima said as soon as the door closed behind the seventh team. "About what?" "About whom, to be more precise." "How do you like the girl with red hair?" "I didn't pay attention to her, I was listening to the report," the man calmly replied. "And what? Did my son really like someone? Or do you want a new toy?" "Yes. I liked this girl. But there is one problem, and I want you to." In two of the many rooms of the castle, there was a loud "aw" and unintelligible grumbling. "Dot your tit through the left knee, for the right leg and face on the pebbles." The scream that rang out in all corners of the subconscious made Naruto jump up sharply and fall off the big bed, face to the floor. "Morning doesn't start with coffee," Kitsune muttered, getting up. When the girl got up, her ears stood up and twitched funny. "How so? Naruto is tired of hiding them." "What the fuck, Kurama-san? Why are you shouting so early in the morning? Are you waking me up at dawn?" Jinchuriki was indignant. "Or did I oversleep something? Life." The fox snorted, but not his own, but Uchiha's. The demon wanted to continue, but they didn't even listen to him anymore. Naruto took off and flew into Kakashi and Sasuke's room, which was opposite them with Sakura. Slipping out into the corridor, the girl ran to the door and abruptly opened it. The room was quiet and peaceful, and when Blue-Eyed realized that everything was fine and no one had died, she got angry. Quietly closing the door, Uzumaki went back, simultaneously thinking about what polite words to call the nine-tailed. Naruto sat down in a chair and started a conversation. "Kurama-san, you were joking, but it's not funny to me at all." She muttered resentfully, "You're good yourself." Biju grunted discontentedly, but immediately continued, "First listen to the rest, and then do what you want. The main thing is not to die." The demon expressed his opinion in an instructive tone. "You'll teach me about life later," the keeper snorted. "Let's get to the point, girl. Don't get smart with me here, otherwise I won't say anything at all." Tailed hissed. "So, let's continue. This Hiroshima of yours is up to something against Uchiha and wants you to stay here. That's what the Great One I learned while you were sleeping here. To say that the redhead had a shock is to say nothing." She thought to the last that her new acquaintance was quite a good person, but, alas and this is not so. "Heh, you don't understand people at all," the fox teased without malice. That's it. Well, all right, we'll see who's who." A vindictive smile blossomed on the girl's lips. POV Naruto, "Well, no. I won't let my friends offend. Thanks to Kurama-san for telling me. So, time. What time is it now? Wow. Soon everyone will wake up. I need to hide my ears, otherwise I don't need any extra problems." I began to quickly change clothes, simultaneously coming up with a plan. "So, I know that Hiroshima is up to something against Sasuke. Speaking of him, he's been acting strangely since the beginning of the mission." Remembering the incident the day before yesterday, I involuntarily blushed. Although Kubi said that I have a character from my dad, but still I am Uzumaki and often have a short temper. Sasuke has become a very important person for me, just like Sensei and the same Sakura. So, I'm ready, and now I need to think about what to do. Behind my thoughts, I didn't notice how the pink-haired one woke up. "Uzumaki, why aren't you sleeping?" "What is it?" she asked me. Just like that, I slept well. Kurama omitted a caustic comment about my genius, but apparently Haruno was too sleepy and, muttering something to herself, went to wash. Half an hour later we all met, and Sensei said that we were leaving soon. When the right moment came, Sasuke and I went to our room with Sakura. "I need to warn him," and POV Naruto, what happened? Uchiha asked as soon as they were alone. He could see that his girlfriend was excited about something, but he couldn't figure out what. Sasuke, Hiroshima is plotting something against you, the girl replied seriously. I don't know what it is, but be careful. With these words, the keeper left the room, and the brunette stood and looked after her, slowly digesting the meaning of the words said by her friend. After the words said by a friend, Sasuke could not come to his senses for a long time and tried to figure it out, but, spitting on this lost cause, he followed the girl out. He saw Kakashi, who was scratching his ear intensely. Oh. Sasuke-kun, what took you so long? By the way, everyone is already in the dining room and only waiting for us. But the Uchiha only chuckled at this remark of the teacher. Somehow he doesn't care. Come on, the dining room was large and bright, but neither Sasuke and Kakashi were not impressed. The first one, because he is an Uchiha and loves everything dark, and the second one just doesn't care. Naruto also sat quietly and quietly watched Hiroshima. She was a little uncomfortable with the fact that she knew that her friend was in danger, but did not understand where to expect a trick. Sakura was impressed by such wealth, but she was still worried about something. What were the Uzumaki talking about with the cute Sasuke-kun? Meanwhile, Hatake and the Uchiha sat down at the table. The father of their former ward decided to interrupt the prolonged pause. Well, why are you all silent? For example, I am interested in the mission in detail. The daimyo looked expectantly at the mercenaries, and his gaze stopped at Kitsune. Girl with red hair, identify yourself and answer my questions, the man demanded. Naruto Uzumaki, sir. The redhead herself didn't even want to start a conversation, and this little man stuck to her with questions. What do you want to know? She looked down at her plate. How was the mission? My God. This idiot didn't have enough of yesterday's report? So. You need to control yourself. Although, an imperceptible, but no less bloodthirsty smile blossomed on the lips of the girl. Well. If they want to harm someone from their loved ones, oh, how they miscalculated, imagining themselves already the winners of this game. Let's play. Oh. Sir, the mission was quite boring since there were no battles. And so I wanted to. Naruto pretended to sigh bitterly. You just can't imagine how wonderful it is when you, Naruto. Abruptly interrupted her Sakura. Sorry about that idiot, Daimyo-sama. The green-eyed one was scared. It was obvious right away, a slight tremor gave her away. Nothing. So the young lady likes battles, yes, and Kakashi-sensei, and Sasuke. She said enthusiastically. The named ones themselves were sitting in a slight stupor. Although Uchiha, in principle, like Hatake, something stubbornly whispered that they should sit and be silent and, if necessary, support their student or girlfriend. What is it? Even Sakura-chan. It's now she's so sweet and timid, but in fact, inside she has already dismembered me alive 8 times and threw the corpse off the cliff. Poor Hirono choked on her juice, staring at her teammate and only whispered with her lips, how? From this, goosebumps crawled down everyone's back, and the blue-eyed one smiled and continued this activity, cheerfully swinging her legs under the table. Do you want me to tell you about my favorite weapon? His eyes gleamed fanatically. And Naruto-chan, are you okay? Hiroshima asked quietly. He couldn't believe it was the same girl. She has changed completely. It was a bit of a battle-mad kunoichi, and he didn't like that. What happened to her, Hiroshima-kun, I'm fine. Kitsune pretended that she didn't understand what the guy was talking about. Oh. Sorry. So where was I? She looked thoughtful. You stopped at the theory of silent murder, Uchiha helpfully suggested. He already understood what his girlfriend was trying to achieve, and decided to play along with her. After all, he himself did not like this daimyo-sama with his son. Their faces are too anticipatory. No, no. MWVE already figured it out. Let's eat in silence, Hiroshima said. He no longer thought that keeping the red-haired person for himself was a good idea. And his father will no longer support him, you can see by the look. POV Naruto. Well, here it is, my chance. During the conversation, I realized where the danger is. Food. I give Sasuke an imperceptible sign, he understood me. I need to ask Kurama-san to help me. Hey! Kurama-san. And in response, only snoring. Laadno. Kurama-san. Oh, well, on the whole subconscious. Girl. Why are you yelling? Here I feel, one more such scream, and my head will explode. Kurama-san, Sasuke's food smells wrong somehow. Please check it out. Okay, baby, but for this you need to get as close as possible to Uchiha. Even though I hate them, but the great me, so be it, I will do a favor. Give control over your body. Thank you. I almost shed tears, because the fox does not agree so easily. But this is not about that, the main thing is the safety of friends. End of POV Naruto, young man, why aren't you eating? The daimyo turned to Uchiha. I know why. With these words, Uzumaki approached the brunette and bent down to the plate, sniffing. You put a paralyzing agent there that burns out the channels of the chakra, but even this is nothing compared to a possible fatal outcome or disability. The girl turned to the culprits. His blue eyes were filled with disgust and contempt. Did you try to poison my friend? His eyes flashed red for a moment. Hatake only nodded, he had noticed for a long time, but decided to check the students, and Naruto surprised him again. And no, but before the daimyo could finish, Kakashi interrupted him. Daimyo-sama, I had a better opinion of you, but, alas, I was mistaken. How dare you accuse me of something? The man's face was covered with spots. Do you believe this girl? Who is she? I will complain to Hokage, and you will spend the rest of your life in poverty, like rats. Oh, Daimyo-sama, don't get so hot. I don't think Hokage-sama will support you in this case, because you tried to poison one of the heirs of the Uchiha, and it's not so easy to get away with it, even if you are a high-ranking person 3 times, the gray-haired man spoke coldly and firmly, and his gaze expressed nothing. So I suggest we forget this incident. Why do you trust some girls so much? Hiroshima hissed suddenly. She's a fanatic and has no place in society. The guy has already shouted. Ha! Do you even hear yourself? Sasuke grinned. Does the surname Uzumaki mean anything to you? If not, then raise your archives. After these words, the daimyo paled noticeably. Well, that's it. I think the conflict is over, Kakashi said, and then turned to the students. Sasuke, Sakura and Naruto, go pack your things, we're moving out in 10 minutes, yes. And now the 7th team is already on its way to Konoha. And everyone had their own thoughts, but everyone decided to keep silent, or temporarily postpone this conversation. Where am I? It's hard to breathe. I force myself to open my eyes and take a breath. Heck! My lungs are burning, and I can't breathe, it hurts too much. My mouth is dry. It feels like I've swallowed ash. My throat is sore and tearing, as if I've been screaming for a long time. Caca. I start coughing and feel a salty metallic taste in my mouth. I feel sick, my eyes are watering. I try to move my arm, but my body does not obey. With difficulty I turn my head and see the fire. Fire? But where am I now? I'm trying to see the terrain through the flames, but it's hard to manage. I see only burning trees. No. It's a forest. My forest. My God, no, no, no. Tears roll against my will, and that only makes it worse. I make an attempt to get up, it doesn't work out. I get desperate and call Kurama, but he doesn't respond. What? No, 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 not him, not Kurama-san. So. There's no time to cry. I'm trying to get up again. So. I get up carefully and look around. Fire, it's everywhere. Everything is on fire. God, the village. I concentrate and realize that I have no strength at all. I try to walk, but again I almost fall, my legs are trembling, and my head is spinning insanely, I feel sick again. Suddenly the picture changes, and I seem to be floating above the ground. Horror grips me and gets stuck somewhere in my throat, and my wildly pounding heart is about to burst. I grab my head with my hands, pull my hair in different directions, as if trying to pull them out, cover my face with my hands and scratch it, dig my nails into the skin. I don't want to, I don't want to. Through my fingers I see a boy who is sobbing and pulling his hands towards me, as if he sees me, and people are screaming and burning alive in hellfire. I'm trying to get closer to the child, but something seems to be holding me back. Suddenly the fire becomes a huge whirlwind and destroys everything at once. No. It couldn't happen. I don't want to believe it. No, no, and no. No. With a shout, Naruto jumped up from the ground and looked around. Everyone looks at her with surprise. Uzumaki, what are you doing? Sakura asks a little nervously. Kakashi just looks at his student. What's the matter? Uchiha approaches the girl, sits down next to her, taking her by the shoulders, and looks into her eyes filled with horror. Sasuke, salty droplets outline a face distorted by fear. A. The red-haired woman rushes at her friend with a scream, clings to him, sobbing into her shoulder and trembling all over. Everyone is in shock, and the brunette hugged his girlfriend tightly and began stroking her back and head, muttering something soothing. After a while, the heroes set off. When the 7th team arrived in the village, they immediately went to the Hokage. The day was, to put it mildly, not very good, and Uzumaki still could not forget the recent dream. He wouldn't let her rest. We urgently need to talk to the spirits of the forest. Teacher, can I go home? I feel bad. To some extent, Naruto didn't lie, but she didn't tell the truth either. Okay. Just don't forget about tomorrow's training, Kakashi replied. He still remembers what happened when the student dozed off while resting. Thank you. And with these words Naruto quickly disappeared. Out of the corner of his eye, the man noticed how Sasuke jerked, as if he wanted to follow his girlfriend, but still stayed in place, sent to the residence. Uchiha and Sakura nodded in agreement. It's still strange, the thought flashed, but then disappeared. POV Naruto. I am running towards the forest as fast as I can. Why do I have a feeling that something bad is going to happen? There are so many questions, but where can I find the answers? Trees are already visible, leading to the most secret part of the forest. I can't understand one thing. Why? What a strange dream. To be honest, I remember him vaguely. I think there was a boy there, and he was crying. What the hell? Here I am already in the thicket. I release the tail and pull off the ribbon. Suki rushes around. We need to talk to the spirits of the forest. I approach the lake and touch the water with my hand, and then, little guardian, we welcome you, one voice says, but at the same time there seem to be a lot of them. We feel that you are worried about something. Speak. Thank you. I had a lead. The forest and the village, they were burning, and there was a boy in the heart of the raging elements, and he. I tried to remember, but my head was empty and not a single thought slipped through. I'm sorry, I can't remember what else happened. Are you saying that the forest and the village are under some kind of threat? Have we understood you correctly, child? The spirits asked the question. And you can't remember your vision completely. It was a rhetorical question, but I nodded anyway. Well, then we will erect a barrier that will surround the forest. Okay. Are you still searching for the keeper of the neighboring forest? The spirits of the forest suddenly shifted the topic. Yes. I was almost on the trail, and, you know, that boy, in the dream, his aura, it was similar to the aura of my colleague, and yet, we understand you. Go to the village. Yes, after this conversation, it was like I was back in reality. It's already dark outside. Suki was sleeping next to me. And I forgot that time flows differently when talking to the spirits of the forest. Sasuke must be worried about me. I stroked the fox cub on the back. Well, Suki, home? The baby happily licked my cheek, and I laughed. All fears and worries receded. I understand. On the way, we got home without incident. I stopped at the door because I felt someone's presence, but when I realized that everything was fine, I calmed down. It's strange, of course, I knew that Sasuke was worried about me, but so much? When I went into the room, I saw Uchiha sleeping on my bed and, it seems, even a little cold. I feel myself smiling. Come up, cover him with a blanket and kiss him on the forehead, immediately pulling away. Ahaha, little one, you're just like a wife. Kurama's voice rumbled in my head, so loudly that I shuddered. Kurama-san, don't scare me like that, I grimaced with displeasure. And I'm not a wife. There was no limit to my indignation. Yeah, skeptical. Then why are you blushing? And here it's already snide. Damn it. I don't answer anything and lie down next to Sasuke. Anyway, there is only one bed, and there is no desire to sleep on the floor. Already falling asleep, I felt myself being hugged. End POV Naruto. Flashback. In the office of the third there was almost perfect silence, occasionally broken by heavy sighs and periodic rustling of papers. All this idyll was interrupted by a quiet knock. Yes. Without looking up from another document, the old man said loudly. The door opened softly, and a girl of 8 or 9 years old, no more, slipped into the room. She was dressed in an ordinary, but still shabby summer kimono and for some reason barefoot, although it had not been summer for a long time, but already cold October. The little girl's red hair was braided into a weak pigtail reaching to the coccyx. Small bruises were visible on her face. Despite all this, the girl looked neat. Mr. Hokage, I will go straight to the main purpose of my visit, so as not to take up a lot of your time. The blue eyes followed the man closely and were indifferent. After waiting for an affirmative nod, the baby continued. I want you to give me a separate apartment, because my current apartment does not suit me. Looking at the red-haired woman in surprise, the ruler said, Naruto-chan, what's the matter? I do not know what happened, but try to understand that there is no such possibility now, because you are not the only one who needs an apartment. When you left the orphanage, they gave you a decent place to live. So what's the problem? Of course, Hiruzen understood roughly what the whole mess was about, but, as the ANBU wrote in their reports, Uzumaki spent most of her time in some hut in the forest near Konoha. The old man looked at the girl and turned pale. I don't care. Old man, do you think it's cool for me to come home every time and see huge piles of stinking garbage under the door with all the shabby stuff, even though I live on the 5th floor, and then live in a miserable little room with broken windows for a couple with cockroaches? Do you have any idea how creepy it is for me when shinobi drunk in trash are beating on my door every time? I'm a girl, damn you all. Yes, The third did not expect such pressure. For a moment it seemed to him that Kushina was in front of him. What the hell do you think I'm hanging out in summer clothes in the fall? Not from a good life. And all because one of these stupid unicellular crawled into my apartment and ruined all my clothes, while not forgetting to break everything you need. The girl approached Sarutobi's face and, having built a pug of a mature gopnik from the yard, continued in a sepulchral voice. So, Mr. Hokage, defender of the weak and infirm, do you really want to refuse to help a defenseless orphan who is terrorized by evil people, eh? Or is it not a serious problem? The hellfire in the eyes and the developing hair did their job, yes, Kush, oh. En Naruto-chan. I'll send an ANBU for you, the old man barely uttered, and he was hoping for a better character, but, as they say, hope dies last. Thank you, Hokage-sama. The girl almost sang and, flashing the sweetest smile, literally flew off to collect things. End of flashback. It turned out funny then, but it was effective, because that same evening Uzumaki was settling into a new apartment, and Kurama then laughed for a long time. No, of course she understands everything, but then it was really impossible to tolerate these quirks. For such thoughts, Blue-Eye did not notice how she cooked breakfast, so, we need to go wake up Sasuke, otherwise he'll sleep all day. Kitsune went into the bedroom and sat on the edge of the bed. Sasuke, get up. At this, the brunette, wrinkling his nose, buried himself in the pillow and, muttering something, fell silent. Then the fox decided to cheat. Well, then you will be left without your favorite tomato salad, without sweet pancakes and many other delicious things. The action had its effect, and the boy was already standing near the entrance to the kitchen. Smiling slyly, Naruto came up to him and hugged him with the words, "First wash your face, Sasuke-kun," and then, looking at the lost friend, laughed merrily. I'm sorry, I just couldn't help myself. You looked like that," the keeper said, trying to catch her breath, to which Uchiha only snorted, but still went to wash. And now our couple of friends are already sitting at the table and lazily chewing their breakfast, slowly conducting a dialogue. But everything is ruined by a knock on the door. It's open. Uchiha and Uzumaki shouted in one voice. Oh, what a consensus! A copying ninja appeared in the doorway. I'm just in time, right? Looking at the delicious food, the man somehow forgot that he was on business. After 5 minutes, now 3 people were already eating, rarely talking. And so, when the food was eaten, and all the dishes were washed and the kitchen was shining clean, Kakashi finally remembered the purpose of his visit. Oh, I completely forgot. The third one sent me to gather you for a mission. He scratched his head absent-mindedly. Yes, and Sakura-chan has probably been waiting for a long time. Well, I've got to go, and disappeared. Teacher, after Kakashi disappeared, the children ran out of the apartment at the speed of light and rushed to the Hokage. Along the way, they met Sakura, almost fell several times and almost knocked down passers-by, so it was decided to run across the roofs using the chakra. The guys hoped that they were not too late. At this time, Hokage, the dear old man, was calmly sipping tea, sipping loudly and going through the documents along the way. He ordered Hatake 2 hours ago that the 7th team would come in an hour to receive the mission, but they still haven't been there. Sighing heavily, Hiruzen continued his work. Suddenly there was a knock, and the third, putting a mug of tea on the table, allowed him to come in. Sakura, Naruto, and Sasuke stumbled into the office. "Excuse me, Mr. Hokage, our idiot teacher notified us of your order only 10 minutes ago," Haruno said breathlessly. The others only nodded in confirmation of her words. "Well, I suppose, in that case, we need to find Kakashi, because without a mentor, Genins can't get a mission," the third informed the children. That one-eyed one, Hiruzen and Sakura shuddered and turned their attention to Naruto. She, in turn, angrily flashed her eyes and imagined how she was strangling a wayward teacher. Uzumaki? The pink-haired one squeaked softly, "What?" The blue-eyed one cooed in a gentle voice and made an angelic face. At the same moment, there was a knock on the door, and the culprit of the situation appeared. "Hello, Mr. Hokage, I'm sorry, but for some reason I'm not lucky today, so the guys and I were late." "I hope you are." A blow prevented him from finishing, from which he dodged, but was immediately caught by the ear of his tailed ward. "Naruto-chan, oh, you blonde bastard, what are you doing?" A dark aura hung over the girl, and her hair was already floating in the air, so. "Calm down," the ruler ordered loudly. "We're not up to it right now. There is an important task, excuse me." Synchronously, do you remember that about a year ago there was a fire in the neighboring forest? After waiting for an affirmative answer, the man continued. "The fact is that a family, parents and their son died then, but only 2 bodies were found. There is an assumption that their child survived. Your task is to comb through all the nearby settlements and find him." "But Mr. Hokage, what's the point? If the child survived and someone found him, wouldn't it be better to leave everything as it is?" Uchiha expressed his opinion. Something told him that the usual life would change a little, and in which direction, it is unknown. "No, Sasuke-kun, this order was sent to us by distant relatives of that family, we have no right to refuse. And yes, this mission is listed as C rank. That's it, you're free." After these words, the 7th team went home to meet at the gate in an hour. After the guys split up, Naruto began to think hard about the upcoming task. Something was bothering her, and she couldn't figure out what. There were too many similarities in the 2 situations. But what if that boy is the missing keeper of the burnt forest? Then things are much more complicated. Everything is so confusing that even my head is spinning. "Hey, little thing. What are you thinking about there?" The girl shuddered. "By the way, you're disturbing my sleep." Apparently, Naruto accidentally woke up the 9-tailed. "I'm sorry, Kurama-san, I'm just thinking about the upcoming mission. All this reminds me of the child I was ordered to find by the spirits of the forest, but I'm not completely sure." "Stupid girl, what's there to think? You need to act. Somehow too many coincidences, don't you find it strange?" The fox muttered with displeasure. "And now move, there are 20 minutes left before the exit." It's not like Uzumaki was late. She had everything ready for the mission for a long time, she just needed to pick up her bag from home, but it's still better to get out early. The entire 7th team gathered near the main gate. Naruto, who was standing a little to the side, nervously clutched the strap of a hiking backpack and looked around the team with an excited look. For some reason she had a strange premonition, no, not bad, but something suggested that this would be a somewhat delicate situation. Also, the girl was worried that she had absolutely no idea where to start looking for another keeper. The forest is not calm, and even that dream. Sighing, the red-haired woman approached Sakura. It seemed to her that the teammate felt the same as the fox herself, but more intuitively than consciously. Hatake looked up from his book and motioned for them to move out. The guys spent about half the way to the nearest city in silence until Uzumaki decided to ask the questions that tormented her from the very beginning. "Teacher, where do we start?" Kakashi looked at the girl, as if to show that he was listening to her and she could continue. "I mean, don't you find it strange? We have to look for a person without even having the slightest idea where he might be, and it's not worth raising the issue of his appearance. It's already clear that nothing is clear." In a fit of emotion, the baby threw up her hands and sighed, noticing to herself that she sighs too often lately. "Well, there are still some clues. We know how this child looked a year ago and we know what to look for in the nearest villages and towns, and if we don't find it?" Sasuke asked, a few seconds ahead of Haruno. "Then it is no longer our concern and the mission can be considered finished, since we have done everything that was required of us." The man put such an intonation into these words that it immediately became clear that the conversation was over. The guys looked at each other, as if they wanted to discuss something, but decided to postpone this unresolved issue until better times. POV Sasuke last night, although to be more precise, it was probably at night, we got to the nearest city and rented 2 rooms in the cheapest hotel. There were almost no people on the street. The rooms in which we were settled left much to be desired, cockroaches under all sorts of dark places, wood lice in the bathroom, idle. Damn, I didn't sleep most of the night, not that I really want to, but I feel like it's going to be a hard day. On the way, I thought for a long time about the words of the teacher. The mission was really strange. What is its meaning? To look for a child who has never been seen, and most likely we would never have found out about the photo if Naruto hadn't asked. A good picture is being drawn. My thoughts were interrupted by a timid knock on the door. I wonder who it is? Sasuke-kun, why are you awake yet? Haruno. Come out of your chambers and reveal your divine face to mere mortals, O Great One. The door crashed into the wall, causing plaster to fall from the ceiling. Idiot. Do you want to sort out the rubble that will remain on the site of this unfortunate hotel? Well, Sakura-chan, look at things differently. The girl smiled sweetly and raised her hands in a conciliatory gesture. Especially, she continued mysteriously, and sparkles of cunning played in her eyes. You don't see a half-naked Uchiha every day, what? The green-eyed one looked at me and began to blush. I quickly turned away and looked at myself. Exactly, a t-shirt, Sakura. Uzumaki squeaked excitedly. When I turned around, I saw an almost barred Haruno, who was caught by Naru. End POV Sasuke. Stupid Sasuke, why are you corrupting little girls here with your appearance? The fox panted indignantly. No, well, just look at her blood fountain. The brunette himself chuckled at this statement and finally deigned to get dressed to the end. Let this be a lesson to you. Next time you will think before breaking into someone's room. Having finished teaching his friend, the boy sat down next to her. She's going to pour blood all over the floor now. We need to bring her to her senses faster. The blue-eyed woman just shook her head, complaining about the callousness of her friend. Some time later, the guys were sitting in a cafe that was opposite the hotel and were waiting for Kakashi, who had disappeared somewhere in the early morning, as he himself said, to scout the situation. Moreover, he went in civilian clothes. Something was not clean here. Sakura, who had come to her senses, now threw angry glances in the direction of this abnormal, and blushed like a beetroot as soon as she looked at her idol. Of course, part of her was grateful to Uzumaki for the opportunity to contemplate a half-naked teammate, but still dreamed of giving her a good slap because she had disgraced herself so much, and now Sasuke-kun would never love her, because she showed herself from a terrible side. And how would she look into the eyes of her and Uchiha's children after this, who may not be born now? The girl preferred not to think about this, mentally promising herself that she would fix everything and become the best wife. The very same culprit of the young Kunoichi's mental anguish was Purple. He was thinking about how to unleash a useless teacher for training immediately after the mission, and a little about Naruto. Lately it seemed to him that the red-haired woman had become more collected and thoughtful. The reason was unknown. Kitsune herself was ramming a mug of hot tea with an empty look, simultaneously talking to the nine-tail about how to proceed. I don't even know what to advise you, a trifle. The demon in the subconscious yawned loudly and lazily turned over to the other side. Kurama-san, please help me. What is it worth to you? Otherwise I have a feeling that my brain is about to melt from this whole story. Okay, I'll think about helping you or not, and now get out of my sight and don't bother me to rest, I'm tired. But you only do what you sleep for days on end, what can you get tired of? Naruto wanted to say a few more words, but she was thrown out of her own subconscious in the most brazen way. The baby woke up on time. Hatake had already returned and sat down at their table. He had a brand new book in his hands, and judging by the bright orange cover, it was from the same series as its predecessor. The man made an order and did not clap his hands loudly, attracting the attention of the children. I've learned something here, Jounan drawled thoughtfully. The locals don't really like ninjas, so in order to find out something, we'll have to play civilians. What do you think? He looked at the student searchingly, and then took the order from the waitress. Here's an idea for you, Booger, the voice of the fox rumbled in a rolling bass. Jinchuriki involuntarily shuddered and raised her hand to her chin. But what about things? Everyone looked at Sakura. If the protectors can be hidden, then they can understand exactly who we are by our clothes, so if we play a show, then we need to take care of the wardrobe, which would be for sure. She finished confidently, well done Sakura, but where will we get so many new things? We have little money and it is not desirable to spend it. Kunoichi blushed embarrassedly, but strangely enough Sasuke came to her rescue, but this does not negate the fact that she is completely right. I think Naruto will have something for himself and Sakura, you are a teacher in civilian clothes, and I can afford an inexpensive kimono. Moreover, this whole farce will not last long, And what do you say to Naruto? Silence in response. Naruto? Exactly. Uzumaki jumped up from her seat so abruptly that she knocked over her chair, drawing attention to their motley company with the noise created. Oh! She said very quietly and lifted the chair and sat down, scratching her head in embarrassment. Well, I wanted to say that we can do as Sakura-chan said, just without interrupting the disguise, and continue like that, and what's the point? Well, as you said yourself, not everyone loves ninjas, and therefore I think that ordinary people will be told more than scary ninjas, right? Oh, and for reliability, you can pretend to be the family of a child who has been looking for him for a long time. Hirono has already added this, well, the plan is quite good, so we'll do it, the main thing is not to remain completely without protection. Sasuke finished philosophically, anticipating problems in fifth place. That's the end of it.